Good morning, Joe.
Morning.
Welcome to Bollington.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's nice being in this mill, to be honest. It's funky.
Big and old, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, just wanted to chat to you today about your property journey and how you've got to where you are now. Could you take us back to where your property journey started?
Really fond memory of this, actually. It was circa, I think it was 2010, after sort of like the crash. I was close to finishing university. My dad basically said, if you get a 2-1 or if you pass university, no one could believe I got to university in the first place. So I studied building surveying there, and he's like, if you pass university or you get a 2-1, you can have a deposit for a flat. It was a 10 grand deposit plus a few other bits. It was about 15 grand just shy of. And he said, where do you want to be? And I said, oh, well, Manchester city centre and stuff. And there was like rhetoric around everywhere that there was too many flats in Manchester city centre. No one was going to live in them. There was no demand whatsoever. Can't remember the actual figures, but there was something like 20,000 people living in Manchester city centre at the time. And I was thinking, I'd just gone to university in Nottingham, pretty much in the city. The buzz of it, you wanting to be out there in the bars, partying, you young lad. I was thinking, and then look at London as well. So I was like, this is definitely want to be in the city centre. Just out of pure luck, really, on searching for flats, we found a guy who was a bit like part of a consortium. He was negotiating huge discounts of flats in town and then, let's say, getting 10 buyers together and saying we're buying 10, 15 at a time or something like that. So we got an apartment. My apartment was £110,000 in Castlefield with a car parking space. It was one of the best buys to this date. Still, like within 2 years, I pulled all my money out. Within 5 years, I'd sold it for just shy of double what we paid for it.
Wow.
But in 2 years, I pulled the money out, refinanced it, and bought another one with the same guy who was buying the discounted apartment. I'd safe to say I just had the bug from the power of that and the uncertainty and holding firm on your decisions and the worry of everyone saying this, even surveyors were saying this and thinking, no, this is, hide away from the noise. What's common sense? It was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. So the intention was for me to live there. However, I went home, paid my mum a little bit of rent, and I rented it to 2 solicitors, and it was getting like £1,000 a month in rent back then as well.
Amazing.
And then demand was huge for it. So that's how I refinanced, bought another one, was going to live in that one, and I was like, I'm making some money here. Like, I'm a young lad. I had a job as a building surveyor, and I thought, this is great. So I stayed with my mum's for another couple of years.
Amazing. Over the last few years, then, how has your strategy changed?
Back then, it very much buy-to-lets, city centre apartments, and everything was brilliant. We were buying them cheap, opportunities were there, and they were also cash flowing really well. Okay, so tenant demand was huge. The type of tenants that really look after a property as well. It was absolutely fantastic. That very much stayed the same until COVID, basically, and Grenfell. There's a big, horrible sort of concoction all at once when interest rates increased and also service charge increased significantly because of the Building Safety Act to put all these protections in place to occupants and leaseholders of high-rise flat. The strategy very much stayed the same for quite a long time. However, I was also flipping houses on the side, whether it's my primary residence or whether it was just projects to make profit, to find deposits to then invest.
Could you
Again.
tell people who are listening about primary residence, what it
Yeah.
actually means?
Yeah, sure. So if you're a developer and you buy a property for profit with the intention of renovating it and selling it, you'd pay tax on that. Whereas homeowners, if they buy a property, live in it and do the works, whether it's extensions or just light refurbishment, when they go to sell that property at this moment in time, that is still free from tax. So it's a really handy way of generating extra income without paying tax on it legitimately to build up that cash supply.
Looking back at your journey, so it sounds like it's like 15 years, isn't it? What's been your biggest lesson in all that?
The biggest lesson is you're on your own in this game, and there's so much noise out there now more than ever. If you go on social media now, there's someone saying buy to let's dead. There's another person saying HMOs are dead. You can't do this, you can't do that. And they're all at the end of the day trying to sell something. And if you watch really closely, you'll see the same people that say this strategy's dead and jump onto this one are actually the people that were promoting that strategy before, because they're selling courses or they're selling some sort of content. And once that content's run out, they'll revamp and just put another drive in. So it's trusting your own instincts, doing your own research and silencing the crowd and the noise, really. And going forward, that's what helped us with the first one. Looking back, I used to think it was luck, but actually deep down, we were assessing, look at the London market, look at other major cities. Is there going to be a demand for people living in these areas? And the same thing happened with my leasehold flats during COVID. Everyone said, no one's ever going to want to live in Manchester again. No one's ever going to work in Manchester city centre again. We all want space. And it is true, everyone wants a garden if they can and a detached house if they can. But there is a market for people, young professionals as the biggest one, who want to live in the city centre, want to go out in the city centre, don't necessarily want to be in the countryside and things like that. So it's easy to get your own head turned a little bit, but you need to research first. But then once you do that, be able to stick to your guns as well.
So we were chatting just earlier before we did the podcast about your current commercial to Resi project.
Mm.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So over the years, like I say, I've done the buy-to-lets and the flips. And as part of that flipping process, I bought two properties on one title. It was an old doctor's surgery and the doctor's house on the same plot. They were both originally built as houses, and both of them over the years converted into commercial for a period of time when they lived in one and the other, and then they outgrew the practice, so they switched it round. I bought these properties, they were classed as commercial, and we converted them back into residential and sold them. The profit uplift we managed to generate because we were buying commercial instead of residential, the conversion process was identical to house flipping because they were built as houses. So we were doing back to brick refurbishment. What we managed to sell for was like a 46% profit. It was
Wow.
absolutely incredible. And that turned my head into commercial, the opportunities and possibilities of commercial property. So I did some training, got a mentor, did some training days with Prosperity. I remember Danny Inman hosting the day said, the worst thing you can do in life is take this education. People just consume, and then don't act on it. The worst thing you can do is take all this information and not act on it. And it literally just like filled me with like butterflies. I'm thinking, I'm not going to be one of these people. And he showed a picture outside one of his developments that's now one of the apart hotels. And I basically, thought to myself, there's no reason when I've got this knowledge that this can't be me. He also said another takeaway he said was, do not look at things that you're not going to buy because you're wasting your time, energy, and effort. Okay. So if you're in the market for 3-bed houses, only look at 3-bed houses. It adds to like a subconscious ego, or makes you feel nice that you're potentially looking at these when deep down you're not. And I was on holiday and I found this property basically in an auction, and it was 12,000 square foot commercial, very similar sort of beautiful period features as Danny's Hughes Hotel project in Warrington, and it very sort of similar thing to that. Being truthful, I knew I couldn't really value this property accurately, but I knew it was a bargain. So I looked at it all week, couldn't think of anything else. Polly was saying, just put your laptop down, stop looking at that, enjoy your holiday. And I'm thinking, I can't. There's
You're
this opportunity. I
consumed.
can't. And now I've put this time and effort in, I've got to go and view it at very least, I've got to do these things. So I couldn't stop looking all week. Auction pack wasn't available. The viewing was the day after I got back from holiday. Went to the viewing and there was 50, 60 people there. Suits, ties, jackets, people measuring all this in depth. And I'm thinking, it was a council owned property. Managed to collar one of the employees and said, will you take me around? He says, sure. He said he'd looked after the building since ownership. All these guys were looking for hidden bad bits and things like this. I'm thinking, the council own it. Okay. They're not going to be hiding or uncovering anything. He basically told me that as well. He knew everything, that it had like all asbestos removed, how much they'd spent on putting lifts in the property, all this tech and fancy things they had.
Full service history,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says,
literally, isn't it?
we've got it all. And I'm thinking, well, the auction pack isn't live yet. This is going to be a big, big document. I mean, the internal floors are 4 meters high. They just don't make buildings like this anymore. There was beautiful stonework and intricate detail. It was basement, ground, first, second, and attic. So there's 5 stories. We've got planning permission for 16 ensuite studio HMOs or 9 apartments ranging from 1 to 3 beds and commercial units and a basement. So it's a very, very big project. And I'm thinking, I could probably fit a desk there. Someone can pay me 200 quid a month and there, and there, and there, and there. Oh God, this looks like a really good money make. So I managed to pounce on this opportunity basically. They released the auction pack on the day of the auction, which anyone who knows auctions and buying, that's a terrible decision. No one bid on the property other than me. And I had a brilliant relationship with a solicitor at the time. I rang her and I said, this is coming in. Please, will you review it? And and I said, you can ignore all the compliance stuff because I'm confident that's fine. Just look at the key bits. And so she did. I was the only one that could review it in time. Bought the properties to 322,000. The council bought it in 2007 for 780,000.
Wow.
And they'd spent about 300,000 on it.
Wow.
So I knew it was a very good purchase. I had to pounce. Put the bid in, close my laptop, and rush of blood to the head. I was thinking,
Yeah,
and
stop
then
breathing for like
and then I received an email that said I'd won, and I just ran into Polly and said, "I don't know what I've done. Like, oh my gosh, don't know what I've done." A few minutes later, calmed myself down. I was like, "I know what I'm doing. I've done my education. I know how to value this. I know what's possible. Let's get to work." I still had to learn fast because I'd done some commercial properties by this time, but nothing at this scale. Everything comes in thick and thin with a property of that scale. The size of the electricity supply and etc. meant like the utility bills were several £1,000s a month just doing nothing. The business rates was £20,000 a year. We managed to make sure we weren't paying them eventually, but getting contractors in to do basic jobs was a team of decorators, a team of electricians, a team of joiners. Like the bills were coming through so fast. We went for planning permission for HMOs originally. Planning consultant, which you have to pay for, along with the architect, said hook, line, and sinker this. Don't worry about it. It got rejected. Okay, so we knew we had to go to appeal, but these are all costs of tens of thousands, not in just more work, but holding costs and opportunity costs as well. And then I carried on with education along the way, carried on with mentors, and then learned a little bit more about permitted development applications. So I put another application in for permitted development, which came back in 56 days. We got permission, both schemes, which is the flats with commercial and also the HMOs with commercial as well. And then we got a new valuation on it, which was ace, could pull money out if we chose to. And from there, then I was gearing up to build it out. So I was going to bridging lenders, getting to see what money they were going to lend me and this, that, and the other. And within a couple of days of the planning permission coming through, I had a few phone calls or knocks at the door, should we say, saying we consider selling it off market. And I just got an offer I couldn't refuse about 6 weeks ago now.
congratulations.
And yeah, we exchanged within 2 weeks and completed within 6. So just got the money on Monday, which was not quite saying a life changing sum, but it was a huge profit. It's probably just shy of 300 grand, I'd say, for buying a building, doing some basic works to the lower commercial, and really just getting a planning gain. That's it. So it was horrendously difficult time, horrendously difficult, because I didn't have more cash to back it up, and I didn't want to raise private finance during that period either. So I bought a lot previously on the run up to buying that property, used all my spare cash, and I didn't want to raise any more. And when the bills were coming in thick and fast, I took that on myself, and I had huge amounts of loans from the banks, credit cards into hundreds of thousands of pounds. And I knew I was fine with the assets I had. I knew I could refinance. I knew I could sell, but everything just took forever, and sales fell through, and refinances when they should take between 4 to 6 weeks were taking 6 months, and every day felt like a month.
So how did you manage that stress?
Polly would say badly. Um, I would say
Yes.
monumentally well, because it was extremely frightening. It was extremely serious. It was ultimate belief, and not from a stupidity point of view. It was ultimate belief that we will be fine because I know what I'm doing. I had the skills, and I know the market. I know what my existing portfolios were. I know how to get out of this. There was a monumental self doubt. There was panic attacks. There was absolutely everything. And the worst part was I wasn't present for my kids. That was really bad. But we're through it, and I'm ready to go again, weirdly. Like, learn what I learned. I'd always do it with significantly more weight and cash in the bank, but I can do things so much quicker, professionalized, created systems and processes, and just to be a bit more bulletproof now. So it was a horrendous time. We're through it very recently. And I want to be doing not one of them a year, but one a quarter now. I got support, like my family. It was tough for us all, but the belief and the support, and it's my identity. This I love property. I want to get everyone involved in property. I'm constantly spending time getting people mortgages. Don't worry, you can do this. Don't think you can't. And I just love it. I'm passionate about it as an industry. I can't even remember the question you asked me, but but yeah, we got
Yes.
there in the end, and there's a nice ending to that tale anyway.
Yeah. So you just briefly touched on systems as well.
Mm,
And obviously, when you start out in property, it's difficult to have all the resources that you need from an admin and marketing perspective. So, what's been a big game changer for you recently in sort of the advent of like, Chat GPT
mm.
and maybe using a VA service?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, two the the biggest things that have had impact on my life is probably ChatGPT and a VA that I've recently recruited. I am dyslexic, and it doesn't come out in my spelling, but actually I've got really bad concentration issues. Apparently that's to do with dyslexia. I don't know if that's to do with ADHD. Never had a test for that, but have concentration issues. So I'll start on a task, get distracted by an email, and 7 hours later, I've not done anything that's been on the to-do list. Having a VA has just eradicated all that overnight. And I also pay for like business training, mindset coaching. Probably it's actually like therapy, really, but also like I'm professionalizing my business. And one of the modules in that was getting training on AI. And it's largely just ChatGPT at this moment in time. There's infinite AI systems for other stuff, but it was basically just how to plug it and prompt it properly. And everyone sort of speaks about that, but I don't really know anyone using it monumentally well. I'm using it, for me personally, monumentally well. It's built CRM systems for me. It's created systems operating procedures for my VA. It's created just tasks that I've wanted to for years to go on, like an in case of death document. So Polly doesn't have a clue what I own. And would she actually be in a place that it would be beneficial for her, or would it actually be more of a burden at this moment in time without her knowing anything? Well, I was on a long drive to a property viewing, and I just put transcribe on, to give it the right prompts, and talk to it as if it was my friend. And I told them all in depth about everything in my life, and where everything is, and what, and in all different structures. And then all of a sudden I've got a bulletproof document to train the VA. My VA is in South Africa. She's never left South Africa. Never mind knowing the UK property market, or, well, one business does development, one business does commercial. And when I say does, what does it do in commercial? Does it rent? Does it sell? Does it add value? Does it split? And it's jargon, it's alien. Being able to give her that information within a 20, 30-minute transcribe while I've been driving, and she fully understands. She's up to speed. She's absolutely outstanding. Like, I can't believe how good she is. But she's just up to date with everything. And if she's ever not sure, Her first port of call to go to that document before she goes to me.
Amazing.
And she's extremely intelligent. She's brilliant at learning. She does a lot of my, I have an off-market campaign, direct to vendor campaign that I use through like Searchland. She does all of that for me. She does an outreach campaign for private finance, which is monumentally busy and attractive right now. She handles it all. So my business, or my productivity, should I say, has just come alive through A, getting help through a virtual assistant, but B, leveraging AI as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
So, Joe, what are your biggest lessons or mistakes
yeah,
that you're happy to share with the
yeah.
audience?
Big one. And you might actually know the development of the area because it's not too far from here. But basically, in my flat buying days, the apartment buying days, and everything was going relatively well, the obvious sort of transition of how do you scale better was, well, instead of buying one at a time, buy several. So I started seeking and negotiating bulk deals for myself to buy. And there was two that went horribly wrong, but I'll tell you about one of them. Is for anyone listening who might know, with Meadow Mill in Stockport. It's a mill conversion, really funky apartments inside. And I negotiated for 10 apartments in there, 30% below the RICS valuation. So the agreement was I'd get the surveyor, it would be an independent surveyor, they'd go out via the flats. Whatever it came back at, I'd be taking 30% off that, and that's what the deal was. And I don't know how I negotiated it. It went 2 or 3 years, to be honest, negotiations, and that's what we eventually got to. So I actually had the money, but I thought, well, doing a deal like this would be a brilliant sort of step into, raising private finance, basically. Like, it's bulletproof, like, it's absolutely golden. And it will really raise the profile of showing that I'm able to do this. I had the money myself, but that meant if anything was challenging or something like that, I could just pay investors back on my own funds. So being a bit of a newbie to the private investment world, and even just like brand image, social media, everything, I got this valuation. And if you know where it is, if anyone knows where it is, there's not really any residential comparables around. So it just had other flats sold in the block, which were all sold off plan. So what I was expecting to pay was actually, the valuation came back way better in my favor. And I think they were more like 50% below market value, because the current marketing for the completed flats was significantly more. So I'm just thinking, oh my God, there was like £600,000 upside in it. And obviously that's monumentally attractive. So I searched for a solicitor, because the solicitors I was using at the time were absolutely useless. I got recommended this solicitor, or he came to me and said, I absolutely can do this. So I got my valuation, posted it all over LinkedIn. Look at me. This is this deal, and this is how cheap I'm getting it. And I hadn't exchanged at that. And my solicitor was a disaster. He came, well, he could be truthful, and this is why I didn't push him. But the stories that were going on in his life, again, you couldn't question him, because the topics were that, oh my God, if this is true, absolutely, fair play. But anyway, he wasn't delivering. Someone saw my social media post, contacted the developer, and swooped right in and, and got them off me before I had completed. And I was literally expecting, I'd arranged a day one refinance that was giving me back several £100,000. Not only would it, be paying back the investors or with my own cash, but it'd be a big capital uplift. I'd not done anything. It would be day one. It wasn't like waiting 6 months waiting. So I lost that 600 grand upside, but also had to pay several sort of purchase costs and everything else like that as well. So it was the biggest sort of pill to swallow. At the time, I could not laugh about it. The fact is, it's not always the answer to just go, well, I need to go bigger, go bigger, go bigger. Deals are out there at similar sort of discounts, actually, if you look hard enough, or you spot the uniqueness in it, or the creativity in a deal in the singles. And there's minimal downside if on the purchasing costs, if it falls out of bed or something. And it cost me. There was 2 deals I did, and between them, there was about 50 grand in purchasing costs that I'd lost as well, because one of them was 10 through auction. This one wasn't through auction, but there was a lot of money to secure the deals and things like that as well. So just don't go big unless you really got the money behind you to back it up if things go wrong, because things can go wrong really quick without that as well.
So segue nice. What would be your ideal ultimate deal that would like ignite you and set you on fire?
The one I just sold. If I could,
Amazing.
it's huge. It's architecturally beautiful. That is a dream project, and not just because that was my first one of that size. Like national developers would take on a building that size and convert that into flat. It's big. It's a bit like a trophy asset. And what I found is with these buildings at the time, thought, well, I need to convert this into residential or something like that, and that's how single-minded how you can make money. But the more education and things have take along the way now, there's so many ways an attractive building is. I mean, look at this gorgeous place we're in now. How funky, how quirky is it? How many businesses want to be in here? And dividing up the space and making commercial multiple occupancy, like the WeWork model of flex office space or things like that. It's unlimited to potential to be staying commercial as well, while most people think it's not a good way to be. Another beautifully attractive thing about commercial is getting a commercial building and doing a commercial fit out is a relatively cheap thing to do. There's not the same regs to comply with when converting to residential. Converting to residential isn't too far off new building costs. Whereas when you're doing this, there is regs, there is fire doors to put in and things like that. But other than that, you can be very creative and cheap with the fit out and make a beautiful, inspiring place. So in this market, where most things aren't stacking up because of the cost of the build, it's a very, very, very attractive route forward to me. So similar project, similar scale, but eyes wide open in terms of possibilities and creativities to what we're gonna be using the asset for.
We'll round up by asking you, big question.
Yeah.
If you weren't in property now, what do you think you'd be doing? Where would life be taking you?
Genuinely lost for words with this. I'm a weirdo.
You
I,
seem a very nice weirdo, Joe.
at 7 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. I renovated I renovated houses. I got opportunities. My dad was an estate agent. We could go in a house and we could help with the strip out. And I saw a back to brick environment and then saw the finished product. And I just couldn't believe it. I was so passionate about it. I love the idea of working with the lads on site as well and things like that. So I did it all through teenage years and in early 20s. If I came back from uni, I'd work on site and renovate houses. I've worked in estate agents. I've worked at work experience at 15 years old. I worked for my cousin as a QS. I studied building surveying at uni. It's my identity. It really is.
It's from 7 years old, isn't it?
It's honestly, it could be earlier as well. Like the earliest sort of dream I can remember is building my own house. Still haven't done that yet. I'm so lost for words as to what I would be doing. I'm not. I don't see myself as very employable. I always think that I'm not book smart, but I'm smarter than that person telling me what to do or something. So I wouldn't be able to hold down a job very well, I don't think.
I don't think many entrepreneurs can. People who work for themselves, there's usually a reason.
And I'm never smarter than those people I think I'm smarter than, by the way. It's just like, I'm probably just stubborn. That's probably what it is. So unfortunately,
Stupid and spirited.
yeah, I have no idea. I'll probably be useless because I'm the least practical person on the planet as well. Like I can't change a light bulb.
Bloody
Awesome.
hell. So it's like literally this is in your blood,
Yeah, yeah,
isn't it? So yeah, you would find something property related. It was going to be something
yeah.
in some genre, wasn't it?
It's so weird because my brother was one of them, but all my friends, you go through that secondary school before you go into sixth form or college, whichever route you're going to go. Everyone's topic, everyone's terrified. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? We had a couple of mates that wanted to be doctors and they knew it as early as me as well. But everyone else, it's a normal thing. No one even knows what to study if they go to uni, do they? They go,
No.
well, how do I know what I want to study? I already knew, didn't think I was going to be able to do A levels, managed to just scrape in. That meant access to uni rather than college. But it might have been a trade if I didn't get into sixth form. When I did get into sixth form, it's like, well, if I manage to pass, then we're going to uni. So that means some sort of construction or surveying. So I didn't know exactly I'm definitely doing building surveying, or it might have been construction management or whatever. But I just, and I feel very grateful for having that clarity from such a young age. I don't know why, but it's like a hyper focus on it, and still to this day, and not got bored of it, thankfully. Because some people hyper follow, they get sick to death of it, don't they?
Yeah. But it's just so interesting, isn't it? It's like when you look at everyone in prosperity, so back to when I had that imposter syndrome,
Mm,
walked into the networking meeting that day, you don't actually realise how many people you've got something in common with.
mm,
So like losing a business or having to build up again from scratch.
mm.
There's lots of people in that situation as well.
You feel like you might be unique or the only one,
Ah,
but
yeah,
actually
that's it.
you're
Yeah.
meeting another bunch of weirdos, aren't you, basically?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
In a nutshell.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, and everyone's at different positions in their businesses. And
Mm,
actually, especially in prosperity, no one's competing against each other.
mm. Yeah,
It's just yourself in your own lane.
yeah.
And people can get intimidated when they look at what someone else is doing, or this, that, and the other. But everyone's at completely different
Mm,
stages with different access to finance. And
yeah. I think for me, like when it was really hard as well, like I can't speak to Polly about it because she has zero interest in property, but it's just physically, unless you're in property, you don't understand it. You don't understand cash flow issues. You don't understand the monumental. You're dealing with big sums, aren't you? So when the big sums come crashing in, and even like hearing your story earlier, like I felt like, oh my god, mine's nothing compared to yours. And then you did it again, like. But you don't
here we
meet
go.
these people like,
Dust yourself down. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. But all my friends are all employed. So I until prosperity, I'd never met another person under the age of 50 that was in property. I didn't think it existed.
That's mad, isn't it?
So one of the things I would have wanted to say, which when you prepped me earlier, I would have said like get educated earlier and be in these environments. Oh, it
That'll be
doesn't matter
fine.
now. It'd be about 10 hours.
Yeah.
The sooner you can pay for education that's worth it and good, it's the cheapest thing on the planet. It really is. And being in a networking circle and people can be that sounding board, you do not need it in good times. You do not. But there's always challenging. If you are scaling, there's always challenging times on the corner. Otherwise, you're not truly scaling.
And you want someone who can help you fast forward going from here to here. What's the quickest way to go from there to there?
That's it. So that you
Isn't it? It's
learn off others.
being there, seeing it, done it.
That's why Danny's so successful, right? Because everyone knows that he's been there, he's gone through it, he's got the battle scars, and he can help and understand and relate. But other than that, it's the people that can help because they've done it before, but the people that are just doing it the same and they understand you in a way, in a language that no one else other than the property sector will understand. Like I was saying, Polly, my missus can't understand that. My mates, as much as they're there to listen, they don't have a clue because they're employed. They don't, even the ones that own businesses, it's not in property. It's not with millions of pounds worth of mortgages.
They've got a bit more of a safety net, haven't they? Especially
Yeah.
people who are employed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then the beauty of it is when there is people that haven't got the experience you've got, and you realize that you can be helping them and giving it sort of gives you that, all right, well, yeah, well, I'm not just
Paying
taking.
it forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not just taking, I'm giving it back. I'm being helpful. It's this beautiful ecosystem. I used to take phone calls constantly on people. How do I get into property? I used to sit there and say, well, maybe buy. It's like, no. Forget anything I've said. Go and get educated. Don't just take a phone call and think you can deal with hundreds and hundreds of thousands worth of thing without getting. It's a business. You get training, you get educated in your sector, you do CPD hours, everything, and you need to treat it like that. It is not a hobby or a pastime.
Yeah, before we joined prosperity, me and Richard have looked at property. Oh yeah, we could do that up and flip that.
Mm,
And since obviously sort of observing a lot of people's journeys over 5 years, it's fascinating
mm,
because you really do see the high highs and there's low lows as well,
yeah.
and everything in between. And it definitely isn't for the faint-hearted.
Well, there's two problems why that exists, I believe. One is that the history of property meant anyone could do that previously. So it's in British culture to think that property only goes up, but that's not the case anymore. It's not the environment and the legislation involved. Things like compliance as well is monumental, and that's why it's a professionalized industry. That's why the governments want it to be a professionalized industry as well. But because of the compliance and also properties don't, certainly in these economic times, are not going to grow as fast and as easily as the other ones. And that's why all landlords who made hay in those eras, They're not even interested anymore. They say it's not worth it because they can't keep up with the pace of change. But people also think they understand property because they live in a house. Oh, well, that's a brick. That's a brick. There's some plaster, but it's not the same market.
Yeah.
It's not the same market.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for coming in today. It's been really, really great talking to you.
I love getting to know you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the opportunity.
It's been fab.
Cheers.